And for some women, they would let their eyes closed. I know, it's so beautiful. And for some women, they would just get this big, beautiful, like their eyes are closed and they just get this big, beautiful smile. And for some women, their shoulders would shake because they just broke, you know. They'd cry because it would mean something to them somehow. Welcome to the Wild Roads. I'm Shonah.
And I'm Paula Ivy. Join us for conversations about how we don't do stuff normal.
How we choose the wild roads of life. We want to show you all that's fun and possible, building businesses, making money,
navigating relationships and parenting, things we nerd out about,
and running at our wildest dreams.
Yeah, my brain doesn't work is like a bit random at the moment.
Yeah.
But I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'll be okay.
We'll get through this.
We'll get through this together. No, I'm not. I thought I was going to say that may happen.
It may happen.
Oh, and I'm the type of person that if I sneeze, I'll sneeze like a dozen times before it goes away. And I'm very loud at sneezing, so I can always edit it out. But
yeah. That's cool.
It could happen.
All right, Paula the Ivy.
Yes, Shonah the Leaf.
Ooh. That's cool. Let's do Shonah the Leaf. Let's do that again. Let's start that. Cut. What is your go-to movie? Your go-to movie when you need a hug, when you need some healing, when you need a cry, or whatever it is that you need. What's your go-to movie that you've seen 100 times?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have two. And I might seem weird for like the first one that I'm going to say. Like the first movie is the one that I always watch whenever I'm sick. And I'm just like, I just need like something to distract me from the sickness. And it's Mean Girls because it's freaking hilarious.
It is.
And there's so many one-liners in there. And when it came out, my friends and I were just kind of a little bit obsessed with it because it's SNL cast type movie. And because Tina Fey makes it. Amy Poehler's in it. Like, it's super fun.
Cool. Yeah.
And it's over the top and it's ridiculous. And there's just so many one-liners in there that I just absolutely love. So that's kind of like my movie to kind of like forget about life for a minute and just like have a laugh. Yeah, I need to have a laugh when I'm not feeling like myself in some way. But the other movie that I really, really love that's like always been my go-to movie ever since I was a kid is Cry Baby. Have you seen Cry Baby with Johnny Depp?
Yes.
Oh my God. Best movie. It's sort of like, you can tell my style. Like I like things that are like dramatized and sort of over the top and not serious.
Yes.
Because there's like drama in there, there's singing, there's like cool people in it. It's, you know, I don't know. That's always just been one that I've gone to.
It's very cool. And anything Johnny Depp, oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm not a real huge movie watcher, but, you know, there's times when I do need to watch a movie. But my go-to all the time is Dirty Dancing. There's just something about summer, something about a hot man, something about, you know, just like
being a hot mess.
Being a hot mess and just getting picked up and danced with, because I love dancing. I'm just, I still dream to dance, get a partner and dance. Like, I don't know, something about Dirty Dancing. It just takes me, and, you know, it's really funny. Like, I loved it when I first saw it as a teenager. I used to think Patrick Swayze was the most gorgeous man, just somehow with his eyes. And you know what? This is really, really cringeworthy, but Simon's eyes are pretty much exactly the same. And it's just like, it's almost like I manifested a man with those eyes. And he just,
I can just imagine you looking into Simon's eyes and you'd be like, oh, Patrick. And you're like, Patrick. And you're like, I mean, Simon.
Oh my God. But anyway, it just makes me fall in love with that movie even more. When I was first with Simon, I was like, oh, that was when I made the connection. It was just like, oh my God, he's so much like that. And then I watched it like 30 more times when we were first together because it was like this, 40-year-old, 16-year-old, like being all,
Is he older than you?
Nah, yeah, by a year. But I was like a 40-year-old when we were together, when we first got together, but I was acting like a 16-year-old, just gushing.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah, no. He's like just 1 year older, not even. Yeah, that's my movie. I just love it. And Baby. No one puts Baby in the corner.
I do. I'm a huge Patrick Swayze fan too. Point Break was like my Patrick movie. Oh,
yeah, man.
And do you know what the funny thing was? Is that our son is called Bodhi, and that was Patrick Swayze's character in Point Break. But we actually picked the name Bodhi before I had remembered that was the character inside of Point Break. So we had already picked his name, and we'd picked a few other names, but that was like kind of like the clear winner. We're like, if he comes out and he looks like a Bodhi, he's so Bodhi. I was like 8 months pregnant, like almost at the end, maybe almost 9 months pregnant. I remember just sitting there and being like, on the couch, just being a big ball on the couch, just be like, yeah, okay, baby's coming soon. That's stage of pregnancy. We just put our daughter to bed. And we came out and I was like, oh, cool, Point Break's on. And that's like, it's one of my husband's all-time favorite movies as well. Point Break.
God.
And he was like, sick, Point Break's on. And he's like, it's the original. Because this was around the time like the new version of Point Break came out. And we're like, yeah. So yeah, we would start watching it. And then we're like, oh, Patrick Swayze's Bodhi. And then we both looked at each other and we're like, yeah. That's it. And then once he was born and we sort of told our friends like the name, there was like, a handful of our friends that were like, Point Break. And we're like, yeah. But no, like we picked it, but then we realized and we're like, and that sort of solidified it for us.
Yes. So, hey, I love those movies, loved all the relevance to it, but relevance to when we need something. Like when we need something, that's what our topic's about today. Healing modalities, like when we need to be nurtured, when we need something's blocked. I want to talk about what our favorites were. Like there's been two instances where it absolutely changed me, moved me. But let's talk about yours. What's something that happened, something that somebody gave you that was really healing for you?
Okay. If you hear the sound of a nose being wiped, that is me.
That's yours? Yeah. Okay.
I know that's gross, but I was sick the other day, so I'm still like, my nose is still a little bit drippy. So
you
apologize.
No good.
Just like in the background, that's me. That's so gross. Or if you're watching this on the YouTube's like me every 2 seconds. Sorry. Okay, now we got that awkwardness out of the way. I have been working with a woman called Annette Shepherd, who is absolutely freaking amazing. I met her in the person when in 2019, early 2020, we traveled around Australia in our caravan as a family of 4. And when I was in Victoria, because she's based in Victoria, I had met her online probably about a year before. So I knew of her and we were kind of friends online, and I'd seen her speak in a few summits and stuff like that. And I had said to her, I'm like, I need to come and have a session with you when I am in Victoria. And she's like, yeah, totally. So anyway, when I was in Victoria, she ended up coming to my in-person workshop that I did there, which was awesome as well. But I ended up doing a session with her. She does muscle testing and also forensic healing, which was something that I had never actually heard of before, forensic healing. And she's also, her husband's a PT. They do sports science, nutrition, all of that sort of stuff, and they've got their own gym. So they've got this cool mix of like sports science and forensic healing, which is energy type situation.
Oh, I love that.
It's kind of, when I went to the session, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. And I said to her when I made the appointment, I'm like, I want to know if I have any like nutritional deficiencies in anything, like if I should be taking, what supplements I should be taking, is my diet okay, all of that sort of stuff, because I was feeling really tired all the time. And so I did the muscle testing around my diet and around, you know, if there was any imbalances. And then we also did the energetic side of it too. So she works in both modalities, which is really quite cool, because she's like, okay, she knows nutritionally, and then she can test like with the muscle testing, and then she also goes into the energetic healing as well. This and because cool. Because her belief is, and this is totally my belief too, is that when something physically shows up in your body, there's an energetic part to it as well.
Yes.
So
I agree.
I was feeling tired, and I knew that because we'd been traveling for, at that point, I think about 10 months by the time I got to Victoria. So when we first started traveling, I was always like, oh, we're just going to always buy fresh produce, and we're going to, like, you know, go back to basics and cook all the time. And, you know, and then soon after I was like, no, we just eat out a lot now. So I had this year of like pretty much eating out all of the time. And even when you go to certain areas in Australia, like they don't have as much fresh produce as other areas. So we could go like a couple of weeks with only having access to pretty much just gluten and meat. Like they didn't have a lot of fresh produce to buy anyway. So we kind of found out pretty quick, like when you have access to fresh produce, stock up on it. Yeah. But then at the same time, whenever we could, we're like, okay, you know, this place has a lot of places out to eat. Like, let's go just try all of them. Like, like there's areas in Australia where they have the most amazing eating out.
You can get healthy. Yeah. Beautiful.
You can. But one of the things is, like, you don't know exactly what they've put into it. True. That's the thing. Like, they could have a description of all the things that are in it, but you don't know what where the produce has come from, and like what type of oils or what kind of things it's been cooked with, and all of that sort of stuff. So even though some places, you know, there are places that are super healthy, but unless, you know, you're ordering, you know, smoothies or whatever, that you know all the ingredients, like if you've got cooked stuff, it could be cooked in something or cooked with something that might not be great. But anyway, I'd had this diet of pretty much like just eating out all of the time. So I was feeling quite tired. So I knew that we were doing a lot of hikes and a lot of like outdoor stuff. So I was feeling like it wasn't so much my physical fitness, it was stuff that I was eating that was kind of affecting my energy. But then I was also like, but I'm traveling and my soul is expanding a million miles an hour because I'm traveling, because you're always in the unknown when you're traveling full time. Like you're always in places, most of the time, you're in places that you've never been before. You don't know where your resources are. You're away from friends and family. You don't know always in Australia, like if you're going to have good internet connection to like when the next place where you're going to have solid internet connection, especially when you work online. Like that's actually a really big thing, because you're like, oh, I was planning to do all this work and like I'm barely getting a signal here. So
this all sounds amazing.
Don't let me at it. On the plus side, you get to see, you know, a lot of places that a lot of people don't. And
exactly. I'm messing. I love it. I can't wait to go.
Oh, it's the best thing ever. It's the hardest thing we've ever done, but it's also the most amazing thing that we've ever done too. Like,
absolutely.
I want to go again. Yeah. But in saying that, it puts you on this path of spiritual growth. Like even if you don't see yourself as a spiritual person, just living on like in the environment and feeling the different energies when you go to different places, you connect with Mother Nature on this whole other level, and she opens you up in so many ways.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, there's something energetically going on as well that I feel like I'm wanting to expand quicker than what my soul is actually allowing. It was kind of like I felt like this resistance against it. I got into this point where I was just like, I just want to like keep going. But like, there was something within my soul, in my energy that was kind of like, there's something here that you've got to clear first before you can keep going. Yeah. And so I went and saw Annette, and I wasn't expecting like what happened. It was an amazing experience. And since then I've had so many other appointments with her. She does work online, which has been just as incredible. Session that we had together, it was like, it felt like we kind of did sort of spiritual exorcism type situation. Like it was full on. She said some strange stuff. Now I'm used to it, and I'm like, yeah, bring it on.
Yes.
But the fascinating thing about it is, like, I've worked with a kinesiologist before, and so it felt very similar to sort of kinesiology, where they do sort of like the muscle they'll test against your body whether it's a yes or a no, and like all of those sorts of things. And it's like this beautiful, I don't know, mine always take us on this like really deep and windy path. Like,
that's cool.
Energy will point us in one direction to open up something, and then it takes us on like this journey. Like they're hour sessions, but like I feel like I've gone on this whole like lifetime's worth of journey with her. It just opens up all these things that have happened throughout my lifetime that my spirit and my energy is ready for me to open up to and to let go, or to just even bring into my awareness that it's actually there. So in this particular session, like, it's freaky.
Yeah.
This particular session, like, she pinpoints the age at which it's happened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the first particular session had stuff to do with my brother passing away, and it also had stuff to do with when I was in year 12 at high school. I had an art teacher who didn't like me. I mean, who doesn't like me? I know, right?
What?
But I had, okay. So I had this particular art teacher in year 11 and year 12, and she never liked me from the start. Whenever I would hand in artworks and like do the things, she would always mark me down. There would always be reasons why it wasn't good enough, why it wasn't complete. And I say that in like air quotes because I'm like, it's art. Only the artist knows when it's complete. Thank you very much. But like she would always try and mark me down on the practical. When it came to art theory, I was actually pretty good at art theory because I loved art.
I bet.
She'd always hand back my assignments and stuff with like this face, and it would be like, 98. Like, you couldn't mark me down because I'm like, the facts are there, lady.
That hurt.
I had a couple of friends that were in that class, and seriously, every lesson they would always look at me and they're like, why does she hate you? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I did, if I'd said something, or if it was just my energy that annoyed her, or what it was. She just didn't like the look of my face. I don't know what it was, but I rubbed her
something in her.
Just being myself. Like, I wasn't purposely trying to do. I'm like, I don't know, she's just yelling at me now and I don't know what I did. Like, that kind of energy. When I was in year 12 and we had to do our major works for art, I wanted to use photography as the medium. And the year before we offered, for some crazy reason, we had photography as a year 11 elective, but it wasn't offered in year 12. And I'm like, that's ridiculous, because I would absolutely kill it, obviously.
Yeah.
It was only a year 11 elective, which I did, and I topped the class in photography. My photography teacher loved me, and she was like, oh my gosh, you need to do photography like when you leave school, do it for your year 12 major work, like all of the things. She was so supportive. I'm like, sweet. Okay, I got this. I know what I'm doing. And then when I was in art class in year 12 and we were talking, we each had to go outside and talk to the art teacher about what we were planning to do for our year 12 major work so she could tick it off and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So anyway, I told her my idea. And my idea was to do, this is really actually like quite cool when I think back about it, is that I had this idea of creating a movie like full of photography stills. Like, you know how when they create movies, they got like a storyboard. And I wanted to do like a storyline, but it was with photos, and it was going to be in this book, and it was going to be like kind of like it was photographs of like a movie being acted out, but it was going to be in a book, and it was
wow.
Yeah. But the quirkiness of my idea was the storyline was actually going to merge through like different eras of film. So like it was going to start off like with 1960s or something. I think it was the 1960s, through to like today. And it was kind of like each scene would then morph into like the next sort of, and eventually it would be like today
This is
so I think that it's the same
genius.
storyline, right? And it was going to be like this mystery murder who did it type movie, right?
My goodness.
I was so excited about it. I told her my idea, and she stood there. You know how teachers do like the cross arm, and then one arm goes up and like it's like resting on their chin, and they're looking at you with like the squinty eyes and the like pursed lips. Like, that was her stance, and she was like, no. And I was like, oh. And she's like, you can't do that. And I was like, what do you mean I can't do that? I was like, oh, okay. Well, why can't I do that? And she was like, you can't do photography. You're not very good at it. And I was like, oh, well, I came top of the class in photography, and Miss Clark told me to do it for my Year 12 major work, and photography is really fun for me, and I think it would be really cool. And she's like, no, you can't do photography. You have to be really good at photography to be able to do it for your major work, and you're not good enough. And then she walked inside, and I was like, jaw on the floor. Like, okay. So
this has stuck with you. Like
this is stuck with me, right? You can't be a photographer. You're not good enough. Yeah. And so I like walked in, I was shocked. And one of my best friends was in the class, Linda, and she looked at me and she's like, what did she say? Because she was excited about my idea. And I was like, she said, I can't do it. And Linda was like, screw her. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to prove her wrong, right? Because like me at 17 was pretty rebellious, and I was like, people can't tell me what to do. So then I was like, okay, which in hindsight, when I look back at it, I'm like, this actually rubbed her up even more so than before, because I was like basically giving her the finger and going, I'm going to do this anyway.
Yep.
So I did do it anyway. And the amount of this isn't very good, you don't know what you're doing, this is not very good, this is not going in the direction that it needs to be going in, you're behind, this doesn't even make any sense. Like, those were the remarks that I was, every time I would go walk into that art class, that was what I was meeting. Like, you can't do this, you're not good enough, this isn't good enough, do this bit again. Like, I got that every single time I went into that class, to the point where when it came to handing in our Year 12 major works, I hadn't even finished mine. And I had pretty much given up. I was just like, nah, can't do it. Because you continuously had somebody telling me that I couldn't.
That you can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Which when I think back at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why did you listen to her? You had so many friends and family members saying, this is an amazing idea. Like, go for it. This is really cool. Don't worry about her. And her voice stuck in my head.
How often does this happen? You know, this is what, anyway, keep going.
It just made me also realize, now that I have my own kids, like the power of words. When you tell somebody who's still, like, their brain's still developing, they're still finding their confidence, they're still figuring out who they are, it's so important to encourage rather than discourage when somebody's found something that lights them up, and that, you know, they've got their own, already got self-belief there that they can do it. It's amazing. And it also makes me really aware of, like, now that my kids have started school, to be very invested in having open conversations about what happens in the classroom, conversations they've had with their teachers and other students and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah. Because if there's things that they keep getting told by especially other adults, that's the
foundation people. That's the foundation they have in their formative years of how they believe in themselves. Mm-hmm. And yeah, this is a topic for another day. But yeah, I just think teachers need to be invested and there for the right reasons, and some aren't. But that's
100%.
Yeah.
So that came up in this session with Annette, and it was like we released stuff around that. Like, we did the healing around that, which was just, I was in tears, and I was like, I cannot believe I've been holding on to that. Yeah. And it was like, it was just so much like, I was like, oh, this is why I feel so like I'm kind of fighting against myself in a way, because I'm like, I want to expand and I want to, be like impactful for what I do and get known by a lot of people and be famous for what I do and all of this sort of stuff, because I want to help so many people. But it's like there was always something that kept like trying to pull me back from that. And when I heard that, I was like, that's it. Like I still have this belief that I'm not good enough, that I can't do it, that I'll never be a photographer, that like that soundtrack, those conversations that I had with her were still in my subconscious. They were still there.
Well, this is the thing, because even though you were saying, screw you, I'm going to do it anyway, that was just louder than your fight to do it. You know, it just became louder, and then you didn't get to succeed. And so, you know, it didn't go to fruition. So you didn't have evidence when you were 17 that saying screw you is going to work, you know, and that's all those things. So that's cool. So what happened? In this session?
So after this session, we did the rest of our travels. It felt like, I don't know, all of a sudden I started getting like this. I was on supplements as well, and we also adjusted a few things that I was eating within my diet, but it was just like I had so much more energy, and I felt like I had more energy, obviously because of the diet changes, but also within my body it didn't feel heavy anymore. It like I felt this lightness inside of me. I was like, whoa, like I let go, and I physically felt it in the session as well. Like I felt like it was leaving my body. I was like, holy moly, like that's crazy.
That's incredible.
Oh yeah. Then that would have been in January, February, March. Yeah. And then March was like the best month that I'd had in my business in a really, really long time. Followed by April and May. Like they were all consecutive, like best months ever, like blew my previous amount that I had been earning out of the water. And I honestly, my energy around my business was it had just changed.
Yes.
And the confidence in myself had just changed. Like I'd done a lot of work on, you know, feeling really confident about the work that I do and being online and sharing my story and all of those things. But it was kind of like letting go of that kind of just released so I could sort of like catapult and take
this
like
is a thing.
That leap. So it was, sorry if you can hear kids in the background.
That's all right.
They're playing outside.
Gorgeous kids. There's a lot to be said for the healing modalities and just having that support to do that, because I think we can all learn by doing programs. We can all learn by reading books to be more confident and to release things. But when you actually physically have that release from somebody that's got a beautiful modality to actually shift something, or even make you aware that there's that thing. Like
I didn't know that I was still holding on to that, because when it came up I was like, oh yeah, like this. And it was kind of like, I cannot believe that I hadn't realized that I was still holding on to this, because this was such a big part. Like the last year of high school is such a massive year of so many things, of transitions, and you know, because that actually led to that lack in my confidence of myself becoming a photographer. That led to me then spending the next 3 years of my life working in pubs and bars and like random retail jobs, because I thought, oh, well, I thought I was going to be a photographer. Obviously I'm not, because I'm crap. I don't know what to do with myself. So I was lost for 3 years because of that.
Oh man.
And it wasn't until I ended up working in like a photo booth, like not a photo booth, like a, you know, like a photo lab where people would drop off their rolls of film. Like digital had only just become a thing. Oh my God, I can't believe that. So I started developing film and getting back into photography that way. And I was like, oh God, I miss this. I was still taking photos, but I never thought that, you know, I would, you know, be a photographer now. And then I had other people saying to me, oh, well, if you want to be a photographer, you got to be really good. You got to be the best. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was working random jobs. And eventually I came back around to photography and really wanting to do it. So then that's when I started, you know, working in the industry, working for other photographers, until finally I found, you know, what feels like home for me with photography, which, if like looking back, I'm like, if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't have, like, I would have known. But then at the same time, I'm like, everything happens for a reason.
Of course it does. Yeah.
Like, I am grateful for that experience because it's made me so aware of the power of words and everything around that. So
there's massive gifts in it, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's massive gifts in all of it. Yeah.
There's always gifts in everything that happens, but it was just so, when I released that, I was just like, oh my God, like my whole body kind of relaxed in a way. And I was like,
it's beautiful.
That was a big one.
Yeah. Fantastic. I love that.
And then I've had a few sessions with Annette since. I mean, one, like, we went into a past life, which is a whole other story. Like, there's so many things. Like, she just pinpoints the age and what had happened. And I was just like, oh my gosh, there's so many things in our, you know, the lifetime we're living right now, and also past, like, I totally believe in past lives, but there's things that carry on through lineage and past lives that we bring into this life that are within our, like, our energetic body.
In our realm. That
we are holding on to, and that we're making meaning, and there's stuff there that we don't even consciously know is there.
It's amazing when it all starts to make sense. And then I mean, I think we should do a podcast, another episode, like with the past lives things, because I know we've both had a past life reading from the same person, which is pretty cool. And then to add on to that, Annette, you know, did one as well for you. So I reckon that's cool for another episode. Yeah, I just love this stuff. I love that you get to just not just bounce off, but you get to have somebody's, like, not just hands on you, but it's their healing gets to touch you. Their healing gets to serve its purpose. And I just think what an incredible gift they have as well. How amazing is that? Like,
oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing. So what are some of the ones that you've experienced?
I've actually, there's a couple that I'll mention, and they were massively, like, big, feel it through your body kind of healing experiences. And one wasn't really a healing modality, but I did go and see Melissa Ambrosini in Adelaide. We went, and it was a workshop that she did, and it was amazing. It was just beautiful to listen to her speak in a story. Did this exercise, so there would have been a room full of probably 60 women that were listening to her speak. And then at the end of it, oh my goodness, it was at a time when I was, you know, just miserable in my life. I knew, like, I was, you know, I had already started the entrepreneurship and I had a coach and everything, but I was living sort of in my life that I wasn't, you know, that wasn't serving me anymore, and really contemplating what my next moves were. That's where I was at the time, and was really scared and sort of pushing things away, like big decisions away, and thinking that I needed to leave my marriage because it was just like, it was over 5 years ago, but it was just like, I need to stay there for the kids, you know, I need to do that. And what would other people think, and my family and my parents and all that sort of stuff was just really, really swirling inside of me. And it was really hard to make decisions. It was really hard to see a clear path forward, other than I was working really hard to make a better life for myself, not just in that, but also with business and starting my own brand and moving that way. And so when this exercise came up, I was just like, yeah, we'll just do it. I was with two of my girlfriends. We went there, and the exercise was, Melissa had split the group of women into two groups. And she had one group stand in the center and the other group circle around looking into the other group. And then it was like, before we started this exercise, just as she did that, all of us had to close our eyes, and like, it was just a beautiful little affirmation meditation that she did initially. And then we all had to close our eyes and think about the one person that we love the most, or one person that we need to hear from the most, and what we needed them to say to us. And for me, I was thinking of my dad, because of my dad's opinion, respect, approval. I needed my dad's approval at the time. I felt like I needed my dad's approval to go you know, it's okay, you're going to be okay, and I won't think less of you if you decide to end your marriage and you just move on. Yeah, and so for me, it was just my dad's voice came into my head, and it was just like, he said, I just wish for you to be happy. And so that was my message. And she said, just keep your messages to yourself. And then once we had done that, we did another beautiful little meditation that was only for a minute or so. And then she got the people in the middle of the circle to close their eyes. And all of us that were surrounding the circle, everyone had to be quiet, no speaking. It was up to us to go and tap on each person's shoulder, or just rest your hand on their shoulder and whisper your message into their ear. So I went around to these women, all these women, and like would rest my hand on their shoulder and just whisper in their ear, I wish for you to be happy. And for some women, they would let their eyes closed. I know, it's so beautiful. And for some women, they would just get this big, beautiful, like their eyes are closed and they just get this big, beautiful smile. And for some women, their shoulders would shake because they just broke, you know. They'd cry because it would mean something to them somehow. And so all of these women had different experience. And then she swapped the groups. So it was my turn to stand in the middle, and I had all these beautiful messages from these women whispering, each taking in turns into my ear and going around to all the women in my group, all their messages. And some were like, love is around the corner, or some of it was, your children think you are the most beautiful mum. Whatever they needed to hear, I got to have their message. And I still cry when I think about it because it was beautiful. And the message that I got from my dad, even though it was, you know, what I needed to hear, what I pulled from the universe, or somebody gave that to me and I shared that with other women, that was the most powerful experience that I've ever had in my life. And I went home from that beautiful girls' trip and that experience, and I made the biggest decision of my life, because even though my dad hadn't said it to me in the real, I felt it, that all those people that I love the most just want me to be happy. And so that was profound. It was, you know, that was healing for me in itself, because I'd always wanted approval. And so now I no longer look for approval from anyone but myself. And that was huge for me. And then obviously I made the decision, and I had, you know, set up home. I was a single mom, and went through all of that, and it was a very difficult time with my ex, and there was just lots of healing for both of us to do. But also I lost friends from it. It was just messy, I guess. With a marriage breakdown, there's messy, there's rumors, there's all sorts of things that happen. And me being as an empath took all of that on, and it was just like, it was really hard for me not to tell my story, my side of the story, when it's just like, it's just so not true. None of these things are true. But it was just like, where do you stop? You know, I did ask for, you know, some advice, and it was just, you know, like, just keep quiet and do what you're doing, and just, you know, lead that way, and just be happy and don't worry about it, because you can fight it forever. So I did that, and it's worked out beautifully. But in saying that, I held on to a lot of stuff, you know. There was a lot of stuff, you know. I felt bad. There was some, you know, guilt as you know, about, you know, have I done the right thing for my kids, you know, all of that stuff. And it actually stopped me in my tracks. It stopped me in my tracks, where that's all I could think about. That's all I couldn't continue with my business. So I was just doing bare minimum. I'd sleep a lot. When it was my turn to have the kids, I just focus on them, obviously, and cook really well. When it was me at home on my own, when the week I didn't have kids, I'd just sleep all the time. Business wasn't making as much money because I was just really depleted, you know?
Yeah.
So I had this session. I called up this beautiful lady from my hometown where I was born, not where I live now. And she is this most beautiful, amazing Aboriginal woman, and I can call her Aboriginal woman because that's what she calls herself on her socials. And she's, because there's some people find it, you've got different names obviously for our First Nation people, and the respect and cultural differences and all that sort of thing. So I just wanted to make that clear that I'm allowed to say that. So and she did Reiki, a beautiful Reiki session. I've never had a Reiki session before, and I didn't even know like about chakras, or I just knew I needed something that was blocking my energy, and I needed something. So I went to her, and so intuitively she obviously knew what was sort of going on, and so she placed all these crystals on my chakras. It was amazing. It was beautiful because it was a beautiful relaxing space, and it was very pretty. And then I just closed my eyes. Actually, I think she put a pillow thing over my eyes, and she did a Reiki on me, and it was just like I could feel this warmth. I didn't, she wasn't touching me, but I could feel this warmth of her hands, and I could hear her breathing, and she was just, slowly working her magic or whatever she was doing, the Reiki, this awesomeness that I just can't even explain. But then she asked for the ancestors from the land, our Lachi Lachi ancestors, to come and do some clearing, and she lit the smoke with the gum leaves, and to come and help heal. And it was at that moment that my tears just streamed down the sides of my face. I was laying on my back on the bed with this beautiful blanket, and tears were just flooding, just streaming out, and I was shaking from crying, but I just didn't know what I was crying for at that time. But it was almost like, you're okay, but it was also a release of like, you've done the right thing. Your life is going to be beautiful. You haven't messed up. We've got you. The land's got you. The universe has got you. You have got, your children are under your wing. We've got you under our wing. And it just felt like I had the biggest hug of my life. It was so beautiful. Yeah. And I walked out of there, and I just couldn't stop hugging Annabelle. Like, I just couldn't stop, she was just beautiful. And she's just like, and I walked out of there, I was just like, I was light as a feather. Like, nothing can stop me now. Nothing can stop me now. I've done the hardest part of my life so far. I have just endured that. I am so strong. I've got the backing of ancestors, of the universe. Nothing can stop me. This is and it was just the most beautiful healing I've ever done. So I recommend any type of modality that just, that you're called to do, just go do it. You just feel amazing. So amazing.
Yeah, because you intuitively know.
Yeah.
You so do. If you ask yourself what you need, you intuitively know. And it's so often that we sort of brush it off and go, oh, yeah, like that would be nice. But that's not necessary. I don't really need to.
Yes, yeah. You just know, you just feel called, don't you? Like, you just know that you need to actually message and reach out and let's go. Yeah.
100%. Like, I love getting massages done. And I used to always be like, oh, that's very indulgent, and I don't really need that. It's a nice thing to do, and you don't really need all of those things. But when I have regular massages, I feel like my energy is just like, it flows more. Just, it helps everything just feel more in flow through my body. And if I've got like, one of my favorite things is like, it's just feeling heavy in my body, go have a massage and intentionally be like, I'm releasing whatever this is. I'm releasing whatever it does. Like, it's not only the physical, like you're massaging the muscles and allowing more blood to flow through your body, but also when you're intentionally choosing to release the energy too at the same time. Like, it's so powerful. And that's why I believe this is why there's so many mixed reviews about, Reiki and kinesiology and all of these modalities. They're like, oh, it works. No, it doesn't work. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Your intention, I can't even say the word now. Intentionality when you go in, like if you go in with the intention of, this is going to help me. This is going to help me feel, you know, lighter, or this is going to help release whatever this is, or whatever intention is you go in with it.
Yes.
You see the results because your
Exactly.
energy is like, okay, let's go. She wants to release it. Let's do this.
Yeah.
If you go in with it, oh, this isn't going to work, then your energy is like, okay, cool. Well,
yeah, that's right. Exactly. You're not going to get out of it.
But
no, it isn't. It isn't. And you know what? And everything works differently as well. Like for me, massage, some people just relax into a massage and go to sleep. And for me, I'm just like, I'm getting so many ideas. It's like they've wiped all the old ideas off me. Like, well, they're massaging
so you can
me.
see all the good ones.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, all the good ones are popping up. And I'm just like so motivated when I get a massage. It's not funny. It's just like when I get home, I'm just like, right, let's go. I'm not relaxed. I'm not relaxed. I'm just totally like, yeah, that just got rid of some dead skin there, you know?
I love that.
Yeah.
Well,
I love
it
it
actually
too.
make me feel stoned. And I come out and I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, baby.
But see, I think that is how my like kind of psyche works, because I'm so like energetic and enthusiastic and like excited by stuff all of the time that sometimes I feel like my energy is so buzzing, like it's so loud with like just like getting excited about everything, that sometimes it's like you just need it all to calm down and then the ideas come out. But that's the same, like I'll come out and I'll have all these amazing ideas and everything just seems like I'm like, whoa,
what's happening, man?
Next level understanding about that. But I do it in a kind of like stoned way where I'm like, what? Like, you know when stoners are just like, you know, not going to talk about drugs here, but we totally are. But like, you know, it calms down your thinking and like it calms your nervous system and your body to relax. That like the ideas and the brilliance that is already there that's been trying to get out, but you've been too like in your head or, you know, too concentrated on other things to see it or hear it. That for me, it's kind of like it just sort of slows everything down in my body for me. Oh, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that sort of vibe.
Yeah, that's the vibe.
I remember to write stuff down when I'm in that phase, though, just after a massage, because sometimes I'll be like, that's cool, and then I won't remember it. Yeah,
it's gone. I know. That's the shower for me. I have the most epic conversations in the shower. Man.
Oh, yeah.
So do
I.
That argument, I won that time.
Oh, yeah. In the shower, when you have the argument with yourself, you're like, I totally, like, you have the comebacks and you have the, like, what follows. Like and you're like, yeah,
oh my God.
Blah, blah, blah. And you're so quick. And you're like, damn, why can't I have my arguments in the shower?
I know. Everything's profound. Every word coming out of my mouth in the shower is profound.
Oh, but it, like I do like the Chinese whisper type thing, because I'll be in the shower and I'll get all these amazing ideas. I'm like, oh my God, that's epic. And then I'll try to repeat it to myself and like finish up my shower. And then by the time I get out of the shower and I go to write it down or like voice memo or something, I'll like write it and I'm like, that's not it. It feels like Chinese. You know how you tell somebody something and then they whisper it to somebody else and then by the end it gets to the end and it's not the same message.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what I feel like when I like I need some sort of system in the shower that allows me to capture the ideas that come through.
Same. I need one of those texters on the wall.
Yes. Because the phone doesn't really work because that's electronics in water.
Yeah, even if it was waterproof, I still can't do it.
But yeah, a pen for the shower screen would be awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like we should fade out our conversations for the end of the podcast because we can't stop talking.
All right, this is the end of the podcast. If you like the Wild Roads, please subscribe. Please also, I don't know, come stalk us on the other social media channels and stuff and things. Okay, bye. No.
Party time. Excellent.
Okay, my kids are yelling. It's time to go.
Wild Rose! Wild Rose! Wild Rose!
Wild Rose.